And we're going to talk more about that now with Debora Kayembe, who joins me from Edinburgh. Debora, thanks for taking the time to speak to us here on France 24. Tell us a bit more about this special relationship Pope Francis had with Africa.
The Pope had a special relationship with Africa in the sense that he was the prince of the poor and the people who are suffering in Africa. Remember, he did a trip in South Sudan, he did a trip in the Congo, and everywhere he's been in Africa, he brought those who make decisions about faith and those organized the church, gave them the responsibility to install peace in Africa. And his last right yesterday, he talked about the Congo again. So it's a big loss for the Congo, a big loss for the poor around the world, a big loss for Africa.
And how was the Pope seen by people across Africa? Was he greatly appreciated there?
Absolutely adored, I have to say, because he was a man who knew exactly to respond to the need of the people. Some difficult conversation could never talk by any leaders around the world, but the Pope will say so. He held people accountable for the killings in the Congo. He talked about family being responsible and having children. And the Pope really brings an historical visit in the Congo in particular and in South Sudan, where people could never even imagine that the Pope would come and see them.
Debora, the Pope was also very close with the young people of Africa. At one point, just a few years ago, holding a virtual meeting with thousands of people. Tell us a bit more about his interest in the young people of Africa and making the world a better place for them.
I believe for the Pope, the population in Africa are the treasure of Africa. When he addressed the Congo, he said, stop looking at the mining, stop looking at the money you have in your countries, your natural resources. Look at your people you have. This is your mighty power. Invest on your people. Stop killing each other. I mean, the Pope thought, if these countries in Africa respect the people that are living in their country, gives a lot of investment on human beings, these countries will be a better place to live. So for that, the Pope gave so much importance on the time of the youth and their future. When he talks about family, for example, once he amazed me, he said, stop making children like rabbits, because he realized the youth are going making children everywhere, but they don't know how to take care of these children. And they said, stop making children like rabbits. The Pope says so. I think that was quite a strong message to parents to say, you can be Christian and be responsible to make families.
Was there any criticism of the Pope out of Africa? I mean, some countries, some Catholic Church in some countries of Africa are quite conservative. The Pope was known for being a bit more left-leaning, more progressive, particularly when it came to things like gay rights. Did that ever cause conflict with the Pope?
I think it was astonishing for the Africans to learn that the Pope was open on the LGBTQ plus issues. And I think it was the first time a Pope to talk about this. So you need to look at the context of African countries where gay rights is still a big problem. But again, it did not stop the people or the mass to love the Pope the way they love him, because he was a man who liked the people, who liked to listen to the real problem of people, a man of humility, and encourage all faiths to gather together, because you're all the child of the same God. So this separation between the Muslim, the Christians, no. And when he came to Africa, all faith was ready to welcome him, which is something we never seen before.
It's true, the Pope was certainly a man of the people, a man of empathy, a man of kindness. Now, of course, the world, as the mourning period continues and begins at this point, is going to start looking at what comes next, who might replace Pope Francis. Pope Francis, of course, was the first Latin American Pope. Are you hopeful at all that perhaps we might see the world's first African Pope in the coming months?
You know, being the first is something extraordinary. I'm the first Black rector at the University of Edinburgh, and I can tell you, when you get there, there's so much hope around people to see change, which Pope Francis brought for being the first Latin America in 300 years to become the Pope. And he brought so much changes, and he opened the door to everyone. And my hope this time is to have a Pope that understands and forgive. Understands and forgive. Because the problem right now in this world is about understanding the cause of the helpless. And we need a pope, regardless his race. You need to understand which way the world is going right now, because right now the human rights is not at its best. And we need a pope to remind us that we are human and our right must be respected.
Debora, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us there. Debora Kayembe, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me.